What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of Contemplations with Austin West. Wow. Feeling way better today after getting some food in my body. After doing this 3+ day water fast for the liver cleanse. Man, food really is energy, huh? I don't even know if I talked about that yesterday. When did I do the podcast? I have no idea. But I'm back. I feel great. Finishing out this Barbo's basket in a couple days. If y'all have been moving through it, just know that we're supposed to be. We're in a mass evolution of consciousness, y'all. We are in an evolution of what it means to be human. We're not going to recognize ourselves in 3 years. If you listen to my episode on predictions and the future of the world, I go into all the prophecies and things of that nature. It's interesting as fuck. Yeah. Here we are. What am I going to talk about today? The creative process. I've been loving this. Just like hit record and see what comes to me in the moment. Let's talk about the creative process. And it's always like seated in all these different conversations I have. I guess before we get in there, this episode, I haven't been shouting out my missions in this life. This episode is brought to you by Entheos Holistics. Microdosing is a truth medicine of reconnecting to the self. If you are sick or suffering in any way inside of this life, it's because you are disconnected from yourself. Microdosing is the path back because it just reflects to us the truth that we are not speaking, feeling, and living. That was pretty succinct. Let me know what y'all think. I think that was the best way of painting it. I'm trying to figure out how to take such a broad concept into a easily delivered idea. And this is also brought to you by the Coliseum, men's work. Man, am I coming alive inside this men's work, man. Listen, for the women out there listening, for the brothers out there listening, if you do not have men in your, for the women, speaking of the men you're dating or married to, if you are a man and do not have brothers in this life that you can talk to, that you can build with, that you can open up to, that you can dump all the shit that you keep dumping on your women, and then wondering why the relationship ain't going the way that it's supposed to go, that you want it to go. For centuries, for decades, for millennia, for tens of thousands of years, men have sat around the fire with each other and shared what we're moving through, shared the wounds, the gifts, the war stories, the victories, the defeats. You're not supposed to be taking the stuff to your women, man. And this is why we have perpetuated a world that there is not safety, is because we have disconnected brothers from each other. But when men come together and build together and share in these things and learn together and devote to the path together, we are capable of anything. So come join us. Making some changes to the community, but we have a free call, a free group chat. You can join, and if you want to go deep with us, 3 extra calls a month, 40-day devotionals, cohorts, teachings, all the stuff. Come join us. I got to link all that stuff in the notes below, too, so I'll do a better job at that. Anyways, let's talk about the creative process. I guess this wants to start with AI. There's so much fear around AI right now. I had somebody in my community send me a note the other day about, hey, have you seen what AI is doing to water and this and this? And it's like, listen, y'all, I get it, but just stick with me for a minute. AI is not the problem. The water consumption is not the problem. Going as far back as Socrates was arguing against that the mass populace should not learn how to read because it would rot the human brain. So first it was reading. And then, I can't remember who it was, but when writing came out, that was going to be the next thing. And then Martin Luther with the printing press was going to be the next thing. And then the internet, and then the phone, and then the oil running out, and then climate change. Every 10 to 20 years, there's another story and a narrative to keep us in the frequency of fear. That's all this is the powers that be that don't even know that they're doing it. This is the experience of life as we live in between two polarities. We only know good with the bad. We only know, quote, evil. I don't believe there is a such thing as evil. They're just polarities. It's the same thing on a scale of differing in degree, and we only know the opposite in the reflection of itself. And the fear-based frequencies want more fear. The love-based frequencies want more love. We get to choose what path we want to walk in this life. Which one do you want to walk? And so it's not getting caught up in the next narrative. If you watch the news from like the 80s and 90s, they were saying oil is going to run out in 2010. It's going to be the end of the world. You look at the news from the 90s and early 2000s, by 2020, all coastal cities around the entire world were supposed to be flooded and the ice caps melted. It's like there's always a new narrative. And so it's less about the thing and it's more about the frequency of it. Because if we anchor into this is the, then we have no trust of God. We don't trust that everything's perfect and that there's a design and a plan to all of this. Think about that for a second. Anytime we give way to whatever the new and next narrative is by choosing that fear frequency, hate frequency, separation frequency, judgment frequency, anything of what I would consider the negative polarity, we're saying that this is only going to go bad because I don't trust God, because I don't trust that there's a greater intelligence that's architecting this entire thing. And maybe there will be concern. There already is concerns with water and the local towns and things of that nature. That's not a nature problem, y'all. That's a human problem. Global warming has nothing to do with the earth. That's a human problem. But we frame it as like the earth is going to be fine. It doesn't matter what we do. You look at something like Chernobyl, the greatest nuclear disaster ever. Wildlife is thriving there. Thriving. Because we just left it alone for 60, 70 years. When was that? 50s? I don't know. 60s? I don't know. Thriving without humanity. And there's this podcast I was listening to with Zach Bush as well, where these animals have an insane level of radiation with it, but they're not they're not becoming sick because they're so connected in nature, and anything in a biological system that supports itself within that. And then the wolves eat it, and the wolves are fine, and both those populations are thriving. It's like nature's gonna be fine, y'all. A new fungus was discovered, a black fungus that literally absorbs and decomposes radiation. Nature just came up with that. Doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And the earth is like, I got something for this shit. So I bring that up just to, one, help us anchor into we choose fear or love, always. If you buy the narrative that is anchoring you into fear, you're saying that if I choose love, I don't trust God. That's what you're saying. Whoa, that landed. If I buy into any story or narrative of fear, it's saying that I don't trust God and the frequency of love. If you want that, just choose it consciously. That's always my ask. You know that. So the reason I bring up AI is because it's being looked at in so many different ways. What is it going to do for the movie industry, for artists? How is it going to destroy the creative process? And my opinion is it's helping me become a better creator because it's not creating for me. And this is where shit gets weird. It's a reflective tool to help me understand my own creations better, not be the creator for me. And one of the things that I see happening that is going to be the greatest gift humanity will ever receive, on the other side of everybody feeling fear about the water, about the AI, about the Stanford study of how it's destroying brains, okay. One thing I've come to learn is you'll find a study to validate any of your belief systems. If you say that this life is the greatest thing in the history of known existence, I believe you. If you say this is a trap and we're in a cycle of reliving souls of suffering, I believe you too. Whatever you choose to believe for your life, I believe you. I also know the freedom in choosing the sovereignty and free will of having my own belief systems. And so I don't give way to fear of anything. And one of the things that on the other side of all this AI fear and it's going to take over the world and blah, 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 I don't believe any of that's going to happen either. It's not Skynet. This isn't Terminator. There will be aspects where you can invite yourself into living in that world. I believe that is possible. And I also believe there's going to be a world where I can maintain my sovereignty and freedom inside of all of this. And one of the gifts I think that AI is going to deliver humanity at large that is so unseen and never talked about, rarely talked about, I don't like using absolutes, rarely talked about, is this is going to force humans back into what it means to be human, into the best thing it is to be human, which is our creative potential. Because once AI really comes, and Elon's talking about 100 million robots by 2050 or something fucking wild, I don't even know, maybe earlier than that, doing these jobs, doing these factory things and these Amazon warehouses, these things that people aren't even being paid very much money to do. Once it starts stripping away all of those jobs, I think first there's going to be chaos because so much of our identity has been attached to our job title. Listen, for 15 years of my career, the thing I cared about most was my resume. It was it was my greatest reflection of me, or so I thought. I'd made it my identity. graduated from a top 30 business school with honors. I got a job at JP Morgan. I was the youngest branch manager in the entire West Coast region by 4.5 years. I got promoted 6 months faster than anybody else in the state of Arizona. I was the youngest under 30 years old to run a branch over a $500 million book of business. I had all of my investment licenses. I was approved for this. I was in the Forbes 30 under 30. Was it 48? Yeah, 30 under 30 for next mortgage professionals to watch, and the second largest publication in the world. Everything I did was about how good will this make my resume, not how I felt. Never how I felt, because that was my identity. I was so sucked up in the job title, and I had an SVP position, vice president of sales at 28 years old. My resume was built to, I could have done whatever the fuck I wanted. A C-suite VP position? I put my resume out there. I would have been. What did that mean? What did that mean? Like, in this version of me now, what does any of that mean? Nothing. Literally. The second I chose to remove myself from the paradigm in which that mattered, it literally has zero value. That's wild. And so maybe a contemplation. Where are you still holding yourself to the paradigms of valuations based on models that don't represent who you are at all? Anyway, I think that identity crisis is coming for all people when AI and robots really come in and start taking over these jobs. And I think it's the greatest gift that we don't even realize we're headed towards. There's going to be some sort of universal basic income. This is the technocratic dystopia where if you don't know how to make your own money, you have to survive off the nipple of the government and give away your electronic rights and digital ID. I think that is it. And so this is a call. Like, start figuring out what the fuck you're put on this earth for. If you're afraid of what that future dystopia looks like, it only becomes the dystopia if you require your own survival in the system. So surround yourself with community who can support you and lift you up. Look at the friends in your life. Are they cheering you on? Are they helping you build? Are they helping you become a higher frequency version of yourself? Or are they actually the only thing laying you down? Weighing you down. Look at this stuff, please. The world is changing so fast. And those that know what they're here to do, that tap into their creative energy and their creative spirit and produce something that is of value to the collective are going to thrive. Those that anchor their identity and need a corporation or a company or a government or an LLC to tell them what their value is, you're going to be living in a dystopian future where your entire identity is tied to the system because that is what your survival is tied to. I'm not holding back anymore. I know that's what's coming. And if you're fearful of that, listen to my Future of Finance podcast, both of my Future of Finance podcasts. This is the way out. We own a part of the system so we don't depend on the system. That is my whole theory behind the investments that I'm invested in. XRP, XLM, HBAR, VELO, XDC, SHX. I'm owning part of the infrastructure of the future system, so I don't need to lean on the system. I've built my own creative potentials through these communities, through these teachings, through these offerings, that these are just a reflection of my story. This is the creative process. It is you. You are the creative process. There's nothing to find. It's about clearing all of the distortions in the way from you acknowledging the incredible human being that you already are. You have everything you need to be as abundant as you need, to create whatever it is that you need. There's art that is begging to pour through you. But it's like, I have this visual is it's like your art is a balloon underwater. It wants to rise and float and off into the sky, into infinity. But what's holding that balloon down is your shame and your guilt and your unworthiness and your lack of confidence and your disconnection from God and your inability to create spaciousness and hold yourself in discomfort and regulate yourself. All of these things that create our own suffering in life that are all just reflections of a disconnection from self. Those are the only thing holding down everything that you're meant to be in this life. And this is what the last podcast was about. It's not about more. It's about unlearning all of the stuff that created the very narratives and programs that keep us in guilt, in shame, in judgment, in separation, in unworthiness, in distraction, in the seeking of comfort. So the gift that AI is bringing is it's going to strip away everything. And it's going to force humans back to themselves. What am I supposed to do in this life? What am I supposed to do in this world? How am I meant to be of service? What is my art? Your heart has all the answers. Because through the heart you find the soul, and the soul carries the blueprint that you came into this life with. And so it's about listening to it. It's about clearing the way. It's about getting uncomfortable in the getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. That was 3 podcasts ago. Dive into that one. See, these are all weaving together, y'all. Every single one of you, without fail, has something to offer the world. And if right now, if I say that, if your immediate thing is feeling overwhelmed because you don't know what it is, that's not the path to take. You're not meant to know. It will spontaneously arise if you just show up and do the work. Be devoted to yourself. Be in your practices every day. Have a community that lifts you up. Find a mentor or a teacher, whether it's me or another. There are millions of us out there. Find somebody that resonates. Surround yourself with people that are loving and caring and compassionate, empathetic, that have high value conversations, that talk about a beautiful future of the world. Put yourself in environments that feel good on your nervous system. Watch what you eat, what you put into your body. Pay attention to what you listen to. All of this is a frequency game. And the higher frequencies that we carry, the more we clear the distortions of meeting ourselves and the truth of our experience, where everything arises from. In that presence is your gifts, is your art, is your expression, is your value. Because those are all inherent to the human experience. Wow, I am back. The creative process has nothing to do with trying to be creative. Ironically, it's already in you. Can you give yourself the spaciousness to meet that part of yourself? And in the process of not being able to meet yourself, notice what comes up. When you get an idea and immediately a voice comes in and says that idea is not good enough, look at the part of you that doesn't feel worthy. When you start creating art and you look at it and say there's no way I could sell this for money, look at the part of you that doesn't find value in what you bring to this life. If you're trying to find your purpose and being of service in the world, look at your life. What is the most challenging thing you've overcome? How did you overcome it? Make that into something that you can walk other people through, and bam, you have an offering. We're all so gifted. So gifted. And this is the gift that is really going to come online in the next decade, hopefully sooner. And so if you're noticing yourself in fear about the economy, about AI, about robot, on and on and on and on, that's just asking you to come back home to the self. And if you need a place to do it with other rad people, join us in the inner sanctuary. These calls are life-changing. I got some epic teachers coming to this community. $99 a month. Holy shit. The amount of value that is being had for that price, it's going to take you to levels that you didn't think you could go to. 16 calls a month with some of the most epic teachers I know that have impacted and influenced my life. My teachings included a group chat, a community that sees each other and supports each other inside of this life and inside of this mission. If you're being called to the plant medicine, we have retreats coming up, and more after that, and more after that. If you don't know where to start with microdosing. Start telling yourself the truth. The rest will take care of itself. That feels complete. Appreciate you all. We got 2 more of these things before this thing evolves into whatever it is, but I feel myself coming alive, and it feels good. Appreciate you for being here. I love you all very much, and we're going to keep this thing moving. And as always, be blessed. See y'all.